We'll soon be entering a new era. In patch 2.1, we'll start meeting important characters, starting from Tuesday. Welcome to her build guide. Tuesday is a core character. Core character are those units that unlock a new type of playstyle and make it viable. With this type of unit, you'll be choosing a path and stick with it to make it great. In this case, Tuesday is the Poison core unit. She's able to do damage, debuff the enemy, and has complete control over poison. Now let's go ahead and learn more about her. Tuesday Insight is very straightforward for once. Insight 1 gives Tuesday Fierce Cradle when entering the battle. It's an undispellable permanent buff that enables all allies' poison to critically hit. Every time one stat down, negative status, or control is inflicted by an ally, there's also a 50% chance to inflict more poison, and makes the enemy take 20% of the carrier's attack as Genesis damage. Besides Fierce Cradle buff, Tuesday also gets a 15% Genesis damage increase for the fight. Insight 2 is a 5% attack increase, and Insight 3 gives Tuesday another buff, Room Service, and gives her a +2 starting Moxie at the start of the battle. Room Service enables all allies to store more Moxie, up to 5, which is noticeable by the different style the Moxie slot has. Let's now move on and check her skills. The Horror's Delight is a one-target attack debuff that deals 130 to 445% mental damage and inflicts 2 stacks of poison for 2 rounds. At the end of each round, this poison stack deals 20% of Tuesday's attack to the target and spreads, causing another enemy to get 1 poison stack. This repeats from 2 to 4 times depending on the card rank, but it will not trigger if there aren't enough enemies left. In Mother's Arms is the second skill. It's a mass debuff. Makes the enemy take 15 to 35% more Genesis damage taken and critical resistance reduced by 15% for 2 rounds. If the target is also afflicted by poison though, the critical resistance is further decreased to -20%. Please Come In is the ultimate. It's a mass attack dealing 225% mental damage to all enemies, and inflicts 1 stacks of poison for 2 rounds. At the end of each round, it will deal 20% of Tuesday's attack as Genesis damage, then deal further Genesis damage equal to 30% of the user attack times the poison stacks. At the same time, the Array Horror Story Night becomes active, lasting for 3 rounds. For the new players, an array is like a domain. Only one domain can be active at a time, and they give powerful buffs to the whole team or enable special mechanics. In this case, the Horror Story Night array will lock the poison stacks during its duration. This means that character able to make the poison stack pop will get to deal damage for free and still keep the exact stacks as long as the array is active. Once the domain ends, it will resolve all the poison stacks one more time. Now that we know what Tuesday is capable of and how important she is for poison teams, let's check which portraits are good for her. P1 increases the poison applied by the ultimate to 2 and increases the damage calculation of the poison pop to 50%, meaning each poison stack will deal a lot more damage when resolving. P2 increases the potency of Genesis debuff to 30, 40, 50 depending on the card's rank, and critical resistance is set to -25, going up to -30 if poisoned. P3 further increases the poison stack applied by the ultimate to 3 and the damage calculation of Genesis to 70%. P4 is a simple increase in the permanent Genesis damage Tuesday gets from Insight 1. And P5 improves her first skill, increasing mental damage dealt and increasing the number of spread the poison stacks will be able to do. When it comes to her best Psychube, once again, it will be available for free in the event shop once the character releases. It's called Handmade Says and increases the damage that poison deals inside the array. It also gives Tuesday more crit rate, which will be very useful considering her Genesis damage coming from her ultimate is able to crit. Now let's move to her Resonance. Tuesday's Resonance is pretty straightforward, being mainly focused around crit. This will make her start at 50% critical rate, which will become 70% thanks to the debuffs on the enemy. For the new frequency mechanic, the best choice for damage would be Hyper, which increases the attack and damage bonus, but it's more on the glass cannon side. Remember that there's always one more balanced frequency option which offers stats improvement while also not removing too many defenses. It will always be the option at the end of the frequency list. You can switch them at any time once you unlock them, so feel free to experiment yourself. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the team building. Tuesday is the core character of Poison, which means she enables the use of Poison as main source of damage. In patch 2.3, we'll be getting the dedicated Poison DPS, Willow. She will make the team complete. However, at this current state of the game, we don't have all the units dedicated to Poison yet, so we'll have to improvise. Other units that apply Poison currently available in the game are Jessica and Sotheby. The best unit here would be Sotheby. She's the only one able to trigger all poison on enemies with her ultimate, which thanks to Tuesday's array, will do damage but not remove the poison stacks. She can also provide extra poison stacks and heals. It is also important to mention that Sotheby will receive a significant buff in patch 2.3, further increasing her value in the team. However, once Willow release, you could technically replace her with other more suited units and just keep the two for poison. For the Jessica situation, it is true that she does get a little bit of power from having 3 poison stacks on the enemy at all times. However, she's not taking full advantage of all the stacks, nor she can trigger them in any way. This makes her more suited for reality buff team rather than poison, but she could be a placeholder while waiting for the future. So, a temporary team would be Jessica, Tuesday, and Sotheby, with the addition of units like 6 for more debuffs, which translates into potentially more poison application. You could use Kakania for further survivability and flat attack buff that can indirectly increase an ally poison damage. Finally, you could also consider using Isolde, because all of the burn being applied to the enemy will be eligible for the 50% chance of applying poison coming from Fierce Cradle. Overall, Tuesday is a very important core unit for everyone interested in building a poison team, and by picking her up, you will have the very foundation of one of the most powerful teams in the game. That is all for today's guide. If you have more questions, please leave a comment below or come ask me live on twitch.tv/Jakazin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.